This is the Boys Gen V podcast from TV Podcast Industries, and we're talking about Gen V Season 2, Episode 4, Bags.
Who is it?
They don't know. But they found a giant nutsack in a can. We're supposed to be super psyched.
I have something. Cipher isn't a soup.
What are you talking about?
We don't know what his powers are because he doesn't have any. He's human.
That doesn't make any sense.
There's no V in his system. I can sense it. So, you can get up close to him and push him to do whatever we want him to do.
I can't. My powers don't work like that anymore.
Unless you want him to make sweet, sweet love to his stapler, in which case, she's your gal.
Welcome back, fellow boys and girls, to the Boys Gen V podcast on TV Podcast Industries. We are here, of course, talking about Gen V Season 2, Episode 4, Bags. Yes, plastic bags, hemp bags, cloth bags, satchels, nut bags.
Blood bags.
Blood bags.
Yeah, we're all just blood bags, John.
You name it, we're talking about bags.
Yes, I think the two big candidates are either that we're all just blood bags walking around on legs, or Emma's view of Dean Cipher's bags that she gets from the toilet, one or the other.
Dean Cipher's bags, aka plums.
Yes. Boss, welcome back.
Yes, thank you, of course. It's John, I'm here. And yes, back from my own trip back to my alma mater and university.
It was very good. Very good time.
Oxford, yeah. It was excellent.
Yeah. Saw the photographs, they looked fantastic. Yes. It looks like had great fun.
Every other university would call it a reunion. We call it a Gordy.
A Gordy, yes. Yes, did you find out why?
It's actually that Gordy refers to something that is showy and ornamented, so it's excessive, and it's used in that context as college celebrations or reunions.
Oh, very good. Was it completely ostentatious and way over the top?
Of course it was.
Of course it was. Yes.
Of course it was. We went to Evensong.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a choral church service.
Very good.
Actually, I say we went. You could if you wanted to. I was in a pub drinking cider.
I can guess one of our friends that is also went to your alma mater did go to that, though, of course.
Absolutely.
Yes, I thought so. Brilliant.
Things like that. Then there was black tie, formal hall, drinks.
That's like Harry Potter.
It is.
From the US,
Drinks with the provost, who is the leader of the college. And, in the new building, which wasn't there when I went, and had just been bequeathed by someone rich.
Very wealthy.
Yes, it was very nice.
So unlike the usual new building in Oxford, which are new buildings from 1700s, this is a new building.
This was a new building.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Good stuff.
And with a sculpture, a Henry Moore sculpture.
Oh, very good.
Yes. Where else would you allow students to potentially vom, take a whiz or something like that on a Henry Moore sculpture?
Very good.
Anyway.
So even though you are talking about Oxford, it is still filled with students who do stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yes. Law unto themselves, much like the students of Goju University. Yes. I didn't mention, I'm Derek, just in case you've forgotten who I am after 900 episodes. I was here last week with our special guest star, Chris, who joined us for the last two episodes. He is unable to join us for this episode, but he will be back while John goes on another trip in a couple of weeks' time. So Chris will be back for a bit more Gen V from next week, I think.
Yeah, seesawing with Chris.
Yeah, to be honest, John and Chris are the same person. They just have slightly different voices that they put on.
Yes.
They're not. No, they're not. But lovely to be back for this. Our own little battle of the benders here for this episode as we get into chat all about the 4th episode of Gen V. It's always a really interesting way that they do this show, where they drop the first 3 episodes in 1 week or at one time, and then the next week it's just 1 episode. I always feel like they now have to compensate by making it a really big episode with something massive happening in the episode, because when you drop 3 at one time and ask people to hold over for a week, then that's okay. But if you drop just 1 at a time and then say, come back next week for the next one, you feel like you have to have a bigger cliffhanger or a bigger moment in the episode.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that it just teaches people patience.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, I think, a week, Grant.
I know. I just find it interesting. If you go to IMDb now, the first 3 episodes are rated about like a 7.5, 7.4, and this episode is rated 8.5 already. So,
okay,
so
interesting.
It's one of those ones
yeah.
that people are going, this is the best episode of the season because it has a bigger kind of centerpiece to it.
Yeah, okay, interesting stuff. But let us get into our spoiler-filled discussion, fellow boys and girls, on episode 4, Bags. And of course, with that, it is the reminder we will be continuing our Gen V student bar quiz later in this podcast with question 4 of the student bar pub quiz for Gen V. You can send in all your answers at the end to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com, which conveniently is also the email that you can use to send in your feedback, surprisingly, with it entitled feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com. You can send all your thoughts, theories, observations around Gen V over there, because, yes, there are a lot of little theories that you could be throwing out or thinking up from this episode. I know one for me where I took a leap of faith, shall we say, and presumed who the crispy meat bag might be in the hyperbaric chamber, which kind of looked like it was on a spit. It kind of, one of those sort of...
You were waiting for to rotate, is what you're saying.
Yeah, sort of the barbecue kind of drums, you know, where you get the sort of the pork baps and then a little bit of crackling to go with it.
Yeah, I had one of those on our little trip away for work. I'm not going to talk about that though.
No.
It was a good fun trip away, that was all. But we did get back earlier than I thought. That's why I'm on this episode. But yes, we do want to hear your thoughts and hear your feedback. There's so much that goes on in these episodes that we miss little bits and pieces, and we do have some feedback from the first 3 episodes as well, which we'll talk about in our feedback section later on. But I do want to say, as John mentioned about the pub quiz, there will be some Gen V goodies available for the winner of the pub quiz, but I just want to mention it's not going to be as good as the last Gen V pub quiz, because that happened to land and coincide with our 600th episode of the podcast, I think it was. So we got a big milestone. It was a big milestone. So we got a Gen V jacket, which the winner of that was Dr. Bob Phillips, who says he's been wearing it around over the last week or two just to get himself all hyped up for Gen V season 2.
Excellent stuff.
That's cool.
Excellent stuff.
Glad it still has a good home.
Yes, definitely. But let us get into it. Derek, what are some of the episode details?
Well, the show is developed by Craig Rosenberg and Evan Goldberg, with Eric Kripke, of course. It's based on the comic book series from Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson. Executive producers of the show are Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. This episode was directed by Alrick Riley, a British director who's worked on lots of TV shows, including season 6 and 7 of The Walking Dead. And this is their first episode of the boys' shows.
Excellent stuff. Yeah.
Great to have someone brand new on board, but someone with lots of experience.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Welcome on board, Alrick.
Absolutely. And someone who's got a lot of experience, 2 people actually who have a lot of experience with shows that TV podcast industries have covered. The episode was written by Brant, Englestein and Chris Dingess. Brant worked on Agent Carter, Secret Invasion, and is an executive producer on Gen V, and this is his 3rd episode of the show. Chris Dingess also wrote on Agent Carter and on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and more recently on Doom Patrol as well. So
cool.
Lots of experience in shows that we love.
Certainly. Good old Agent Carter.
Absolutely.
And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I love those shows.
And Secret Invasion.
I knew you were going to bring that up, John.
No, I'm not going to bring that up at all.
Excellent. John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for The Boys Gen V 204 Bags?
Sure.
Has the synopsis been pumped up by a team of writers to make it
certainly has.
Excellent.
Yes, certainly has.
Me and you, basically.
Basically.
And Wikipedia, of course.
Indeed.
Brilliant. John, go ahead.
After Jordan is vilified by the media, Cipher organises a publicised fight between them and Marie. If they refuse, he will send them and Emma back to Elmira Correctional Adult Centre. Attempting to find information about him, Jordan and Cate break into Dean Cipher's house and discover his father in a hyperbaric chamber. Marie gains better control of her powers thanks to lessons with Cipher, where he tells her that Odessa was a project to enhance Supes, and she can be more powerful than Homelander. Marie also discovers he is human. Meanwhile, Harper tries to get Emma to control her powers without her harmful methods, and Cipher discovers the break-in at his house and summons Cate to the fight. Marie and the group plot to get Cipher to confess on video that he's human with the help of Cate and Emma's group. Emma manages to sneak through the pipes and give Cate a teeny tiny camera, and then Cate attempts to blackmail Cipher by revealing that she knows he is human. Cipher remains unfazed, however, and to Cate and Marie's surprise, reveals his powers by possessing Jordan's body and attacking Marie, who manages to control Jordan's blood and ultimately win the fight.
Knew she could do it.
Well, at least she didn't explode Jordan.
Well, absolutely.
Do you know?
There was a moment in the episode when Jordan's sitting down telling their story about when they discovered their powers back when they were 6 years old and didn't tell anybody. And you get that story, and you know, given that one of the directors on the show was a director on The Walking Dead, it was something that The Walking Dead used to do all the time. Someone sits down and goes, "Let me tell you about the painful past I had and the wonderful future that's ahead of me." And then you go, "Oh God, they're dead by the end of the episode." So I thought this might have been Jordan's swan song. In this episode.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I was thinking the same thing myself.
But we did see them open their eyes on the mat at the end, so they are alive as of the end of this episode. Fight not over. Maybe. I didn't hear
Who
a
knows?
bell.
Yeah, I mean, it was less than a round.
Yeah.
But I think you'd just stay down, wouldn't you?
Yeah, they should, definitely.
That's what I would think. In fact, I'd try not to get in the fight anyway.
That's true.
I'm not a very good fighter.
Well, they were more kissers than fighters too.
Well, that is true until being taken over by Cipher. But before we spoil all our points,
let's just talk through all our points before we get into our points.
Let us get into our interesting moments of the episode. Our freshman or small moment, our sophomore or medium moment, and of course our senior moment from the episode. Derek, what's your kind of main minor moment, the freshman?
Well, we described this last week when Chris was here as the moment that just either keeps you awake at night or will never get out of your mind. That's the small moment from each of these episodes. And the boys and Gen V always has a moment like that. And there's a few in this episode. One that instantly will stick in my mind forever is poor Emma climbing through the pipes, arriving in the bathroom of Dean Cipher, who
swimming pool, if you will.
It looks like a massive swimming pool, but
it has a very nice blue hue to it. I guess that was all the chemicals in it.
I guess it's Harpic. Other brands are available.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, it's the bleach that's keeping the toilet bowl fresh for Dean Cipher. But it's just the fact that he's in the other room talking to Cate, and then goes, "Oh, hold that thought, nature calls," as poor little Emma is sitting in the toilet, unable to get out. Because the minute I saw her in the toilet, I was going, "Well, she's tiny. The only way to get out of here is to grow big, and she's not going to be able to." Oh, he's going to sit down on the toilet.
I was like, "Oh, hell no!" The only thing about this, given we saw the invisible dude and the phone went over and you heard the plop.
Yeah.
I was expecting to hear a plop.
Right. Oh, no. They can't do that same joke twice.
Emma did manage to get to safety, climbing aboard the sort of toilet fresheners, the Harpic thing.
Yeah.
But as she was kind of squeezing between the small gap between the rim of the toilet and the toilet seat, I was expecting that you would just see this brown sort of bomb fall down and hear the splosh.
I'm glad they didn't.
Or something like that.
Yeah. Just have to leave it to your imagination, John, and to now the imaginations of all of our wonderful boys and girls who just heard
well, exactly.
Yes. But also proof, a little extra fact that we now know about Dean Cipher. He's never been to South Africa or to Australia at all because you always check the toilet bowl before sitting down in it. And if you check it and see a very tiny woman inside, you know you shouldn't be sitting down in the toilet.
Exactly.
John, how about yourself? What's a minor moment that stood out to you from the episode?
Well, I guess it's the gnome shagging,
Absolutely.
really. Cate's misfiring powers that ultimately has the security guard, rather than just opening up the door or giving them the keys, despite having asked or requested him to do that, he ends off whipping down his keks in front of Jordan and Cate, and taking the old gnome up the old Jaxie, I guess. As Cate says, there's a guy currently outside rearranging the guts of a gnome. I mean, we basically get the full... from penetration all the way through to climax going on here. Poor Cate, as she's there trying to get the keys out of his trouser pockets.
I really like
really good.
I really like Maddie Phillips in this moment where she just says, "Look, my powers aren't working the way they're supposed to be," and she just has to tentatively reach between his legs to get the keys out of a very uncomfortable position. But she plays it so disgustedly. She really does it really, really well.
It was excellent.
Yeah, very funny. I love this idea as well, because there may be another moment where she will try and use her powers again and have it completely backfire or do a different thing than she's expecting. The reason why I love it here is because there is no logic to it at all.
No.
It's not like maybe he was thinking of doing this before she got there and he accidentally did it. Doesn't feel like it would be one of those, something else would happen then. It's not connected to any of the words that she said specifically that turned him around and made him go and have sex with a gnome. It's just completely random. So she will not use her powers on somebody that, their head could explode or something, just in case.
But I love the fact that because it's a pottery gnome, he's got to go in through the base of it where the hole is. And then I started going, it's kind of almost like that moment where, oh, I'm sorry, doctor, whilst you're in A&E, I was hoovering, kind of thing. Yeah, I slipped and I was hoovering and it got caught on. And you're like, I wonder how many times someone has been admitted to the emergency department of a hospital,
after a particularly sexy gnome incident.
After accidentally slipping and tripping and penetrating a gnome.
Oh, good God. There you go. You see, this is why we mentioned that the minor moment is something that's kept you up all night, because you have been thinking about that, obviously, while I've been away.
So all those gardens with gnomes in the front, you start to have to think. It's a bit like if they've got pampas grass.
Well,
I'll leave it there.
Leave it there, John. Yes. Any other minor moments that stood out to you from the episode, John?
I have to say, I really enjoyed the Star Wars references between Cipher and Marie. In particular, the one where Cipher kind of really does instruct Marie to drop the hand. The hand doesn't do anything. Feel it. It was literally feel the Force.
Feel the Force.
And she, with the hand out, it was exactly like Luke Skywalker with the X-Wing in the swamp. And, of course, again, we have the ease up Yoda being said to Cipher and, stop with all this Yoda stuff that you're saying, and because it did feel, the way Cipher was speaking, this is your destiny. You were meant to be, important, bigger, better than anything else. You were the purpose, I think he says. The whole point of this school was to produce you. It's like almost like that prophecy.
You were the chosen one. You were born to bring balance to the Force, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Like, they've actually referenced this before. Marie and Jordan, a couple episodes ago, were walking down the street and they were joking about the fact that she couldn't possibly be the chosen one. Chosen ones are blonde-haired white guys, basically. So, like Harry Potter, or like, he's not blonde, but you get the point. Luke Skywalker, Harry Potter, those kind of people are always the chosen ones. Couldn't possibly be someone like Marie. And here she is with the Dean of Students going, no, we set up the whole school to produce you. You could be the most powerful Supe, even more powerful than Homelander. And she asks the very appropriate question, hang on a second, why would Vought want that? And secondly, why would Homelander want someone that's more powerful than him? Well, the answer to that we know is Homelander would not want someone more powerful than him unless he had full and total control over that person. So is there something in that? That thing we find out later on in the episode about what the power of Dean Cipher is in his ability to control someone. Maybe through Dean Cipher, Homelander would have control of Marie and her even greater power than his if he gets her up to scratch, I guess.
Yes.
Maybe it's that.
It could be, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, really.
I mean, initially I was thinking it was a Vought problem. Like, how do you control Homelander?
Yeah.
So in a sense, the disease was from the other side. This is Vought saying, look, we need some form of emergency break glass procedure here. We need our own weapon.
Yep.
So I was wondering whether it was that kind of thing, but
I think that might have been it, but it's just because the end of last season was kind of saying all of those people are gone from Vought now. It's Homelander is in charge. So maybe Rogue Faction, maybe somebody coming back who was involved in Vought in the past might come back and be involved in this project. But Homelander knows a lot about this situation. So wondering if he wants even more power and is willing to and wants to get it and have it controlled by somebody he controls or somebody he's involved in. Maybe that's it.
yeah, absolutely.
We don't know yet. I guess we'll find that out as the rest of the series goes on.
Yeah, absolutely.
One final minor moment for me, just because I thought it was hilarious, and again during the training sequence, where where Dean Cipher brings out the bleating goat after Marie has moved the blood bags from one table to the other. He brings out the bleating goat called Elon Musk because it doesn't matter what you do to it. We name them after a-holes so that you won't feel bad if you do happen to kill
That's it. It was, and just the fact that then it explodes and he just goes, Vance, bring in Julia Fox. I have no idea who Julia Fox is.
She's an actress. I know that she was in Uncut Gems was her movie, but I have no idea what the specific significance of this is. And it's very difficult when you choose someone random from the acting world and give their name in a show like this, because this could have been something that was around 3 years ago. She could have been involved in some controversy that we never saw. No idea who she is.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, very, very funny.
Yeah.
But shall we move on to our sophomore or medium moments?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, John, what's your first medium moment?
So my medium moment, and to be honest, you could have put this possibly in the freshman moment, is Bushmaster.
Right, yes.
But it's because it's connected in with Ali and Harper and Emma and this trio of vigilantes in a sense. Yes. Now also with Ali's brother as well.
Greg, yes.
Greg. And I just really liked it because one, like she's clearly thinks it's a bad superpower.
It's not great.
It's not great. I mean, her angle on it as well is it's sort of like Medusa. It makes it cooler than it is. And Emma responds to that and saying, you know, that's brilliant. And then Ali is saying, well, it's not the hair on my head.
It's only my pubic hair that I can control.
Yeah.
Yes. I do love that Emma's going, well, your power can't be that bad. You're in the school. You made it into the school. It's like, well, no, my dad paid for the library. So that's the only reason I'm really here.
But I like the way that Emma's not judgmental about it. I mean, we do have from Harper telling Emma she's only the second person that she's told after her. Yeah. And that's a big thing because there's a lot of empathy being brought to this episode by these three and a lot of support, you know, helping them move past some of their issues and just a different way of doing it. So, I mean, you actually see Harper doing with Emma what Cipher is trying to do with Marie, you know, trying to help Emma get the most out of her powers without resorting to throwing up or, you know, like Daniel Day-Lewis sitting on his balls, which he won an Oscar for, by the way.
That's really funny.
You know, and it's really interesting because it is this kind of other end of the spectrum of what Cipher is doing. Cipher is like kind of, yes, this big mentors type teacher saying, you can do this, you know, destiny, very Yoda-esque. Here, it's this support of saying, you are better than you think you are. And you just need to know that and be told that and supported through that. And so I kind of like how this works. And it, you know, Emma blows that back really onto Ali by saying, I've come up with a good name for you. It's called Bushmaster. And she has her big savior moment where she helps Emma, stops her, prevents her from drowning effectively by sending forth legions of pubic hair across the floor like a snake in order to turn the valves to stop the water from flooding the pipe that Emma is currently in to try and infiltrate into Cipher's box. Oh, no pun intended. At the fight. Yes. So I just really, really enjoyed it. I like she gets her moment to shine. Just the actress as the pubic hair sort of after it's turned and closed off the valve and it comes back into her trousers.
Yes.
And just before she goes to zip up the trousers, it's like she just wipes her hand across it to make sure she doesn't trap any of the pubes in the zip, which of course, as we know, is very disastrous.
It's very, very irritating. Yeah, I do like that she calls it very 70s.
It's really good. So I really like this moment.
She could be in the remake of the musical Hair.
Yeah,
yeah, that could be the thing.
I mean, actually, the whole thing where she has her moment with the pubic hair and the valves and that. I always remember as a kid there was this kid's book called The Magic Porridge Pot, where the porridge just kept being made in the pot and overflowing, and it starts to effectively like drown this village in porridge. And I kind of got this sense of that from ultimately Ali's or Bushmaster's midriff, that it was just going to keep coming, all this pubic hair.
Well, thankfully, she had control over it before it strangled and killed all of her family when she was growing up. Oh, this wonderful, hilariously, very, very silly show.
Absolutely.
I love it. Really good. And, of course, we should really mention there is another very famous Bushmaster in our past on TV podcast industries from Luke Cage, season 2. I don't think he'd be very impressed with this version of Bushmaster.
It's a very different Bushmaster.
It is. Yes. Absolutely. My sophomore moment for this episode, we mentioned it a little bit earlier on, but it's Cate, Jordan and Marie and their team up. I just thought it was really interesting that there's that already in the 4th episode they're teaming up with Cate. Cate has been very villainous throughout season 1. She was protesting, saying all she was trying to do was keep her friends safe and keep them close, and they didn't believe her. But now she's the only one to go to. Just as a really fun scene, I thought, with Emma and Jordan and Marie sitting around just having that discussion about whether they should go to Cate or not. And Emma's completely against the idea of getting Cate to push the Dean because she's so up the Dean's ass that she's got a butthole timeshare, she says. Oh, I love you, Emma. She's brilliant.
It's really good. Yeah, this was really good. I must say, I like just that slight tension with Emma where, all of this stuff with Cate is a really bad idea. Yeah. Marie just sees it as a Hail Mary, and Jordan has these regrets. There is that moment where just before they break into Dean Cipher's house. She's like going, I'm just afraid that I'm going to be mad at you forever because of this. And Cate is saying, yeah, I'm afraid of that too. Yeah. So, there's all these different grades of memory and tension and regret or whatever. Yeah. Maria is almost like Emma at the start, where this is a Hail Mary, and she says, just listen to us. I think we're on the same side.
Exactly.
I think you hate Dean Cipher as much as we do. And Kate's kind of biting back, going, well, how would you know I won't just go to him with this information now? And she goes, well, just listen to us.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, we don't have to speak to one another again ever.
Exactly. Yeah.
But Marie gets involved more, sees that Cate can be of use here. But again, when Cate reveals that her powers are on the fritz, effectively, again, it's just another reason for Emma, where she's like, no, this is like, I do not trust her. I mean, even Jordan is, you should have said something.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Jordan's really biting back the whole time. They're saying, you will just turn on us, you'll go against us. But as you say, they do finally reconcile when Jordan says, I don't want to hate you forever. And I like that as well, because Jordan's making up here with Cate, and in the last episode, they were the ones that made up with Sam as well, just kind of going, I don't want to have a situation where we hate each other all the time. And then they kind of hung out and got stoned together watching watching
exactly.
Yeah. So Jordan does seem to be the person that's making the reconnections of this group of people and going, look, we've known each other a long time. Maybe we just bury the hatchet and move on with our lives, because there are much worse things like Vought out there and like Homelander out there. Maybe we should stop fighting amongst each other. So I kind of like that Jordan's the person bridging the gaps. But as I said, having a lot of those in this particular episode and over the last couple of episodes did make me feel that this may be Jordan's last episode.
Yeah, and you really got that sense, I think, from this,
But that's it for my sophomore moment.
Excellent. Let us get into our senior or major moment of the episode. Derek, what's yours?
Well, I think the big centerpiece for the episode, at least at the beginning, was the hostility at the university, the gender bender versus blood bender. The return of Seth Reed, the PR man for Vought, who has had some very, very bad times in the past in Vought. But I think he's another person that feels like he can never escape because Supes are everywhere and he seems to be drawn into their world.
Yeah.
I love when they're originally telling the two major participants here, Jordan and Marie, that they have to go and fight against each other, as the tension starts to rise in the room with the Dean, and Marie's going, I'm not going to do this, and the Dean's saying, right, well, Jordan, you better get down the stairs and get on the bus back to Elmira, and Emma's going to be waiting there for you. You're back there for good if you don't do what I say. And you hear in the background Seth going, can I leave now? Are we done? Because he's waiting to get scissored in half by somebody's laser eyes or something. So he has always been put upon. But the fight is the center of the show, really.
Yes, it certainly is. No, I love that moment. It was almost like, as you say, am I going to get hurt here? Or, you're telling me stuff that I shouldn't know. It's way above my pay grade. And the fact that I know it, is that going to get me killed?
Yes.
It's like, let me get out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know I love his WWE sort of whole vibe here.
Yep.
Hostility at the university is the kind of the first sort of name for it.
Yep.
What is it that WWE are actually doing now, which is WrestlePalooza or something like that, where
the first
I'm going,
ESPN event was WrestlePalooza.
Start with just adding Palooza to everything. So I really like this, just hostility at the university. Like, we've got a crack team of writers on it, and I'm like, doesn't sound like it. So I really enjoyed this.
Well, no, he says, don't worry about the name. It will change. We've got a team of writers who are on spec for pumping it up. They're the kind of people that come in last minute and fix everything. And the only thing they change by the end of the episode, and by the time the fight is actually out there, is that they've changed the fight name to Unsafe Spaces. Instead of Safe Spaces, they've changed it to Unsafe Spaces, the battle between the two of them.
Yeah, so, no, exactly.
This crack team, not so crack.
It was just really, really fun. I mean, even just the whole setup, because there used to be a show on British TV called Harry Hill's TV Burp.
Oh, yes.
He kind of did fun elements or skits on different TV shows being played in the UK. And I always found it kind of really good. It's almost a bit like It'll Be All Right on the Night, except there was also... he is a comedian, so he was doing comedy. And one of them was, well, what if such and such and such and such, and it'd be two random things, and he'd slam the desk and go, fight! Yeah. And it just felt, certainly when Dean Cipher slams the desk going, you will fight, I was like, oh my goodness, this is Harry Hill's TV Burp.
It's the only way to decide who's the best of these two random things. Yeah,
it's the only way as well for us to get out of the sticky situation that you've put us in, Jordan, is we'll have a fight and people will just focus on that and not on what you said.
Yes. Maybe that was brought in by the director of the show. I did say he was from London, the director, Alrick.
It could be.
Maybe they were going, I remember TV Burp back in the day. We could say, how do we sort this whole situation out? Fight. So, yeah. But I do wonder, as the episode goes on, and we get the idea that Dean Cipher wants to bring Marie in, do the training, whether that's after he's announced that she's going to be in the fight, and then eventually she fights back against Jordan. And he says, right, I know you could do it. I wonder if this entire premise was to get her to use her powers in a different way. He knew that she wouldn't kill Jordan, but he knew the only way to get her to use her powers to put her in a situation that she had to use the powers to a different
I think
effect.
so. I think there's definitely two sides to this sword or coin, you know? And I think that is one of them as well, which is it puts her in a pressured situation where suddenly she has to use her powers, but because of who it is, it's not necessarily for the purpose of killing.
Exactly.
Or hurting or, you know, maiming, whatever it is.
Marie's not going to rip out their throat or, you know, pull blood out of their body and fight them with it.
Exactly.
Marie will do that to herself, but wouldn't do that to Jordan. So, So I wonder if that was the whole purpose, the whole premise of this fight was just to get her in that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a couple of other things about the fight that I want to mention. I love the lead up to it where Jordan and Marie are in the locker room and Jordan's telling the story of how they found out about the powers at 6 and kept them hidden and then had this recurring dream of everybody hating them in the background. You're hearing the crowd shouting, F you, Jordan, over and over again. And Jordan's like, that's a reality now. It's come to life after all these years. And then when they go out originally onto the stage and are about to fight, instead of fighting, the two of them kiss each other, thinking maybe we can sort this whole thing out this way. So it may never have gotten to a fight, but the Dean's not going to let that happen.
No, absolutely. And I guess that brings to my major point, and that is Cipher's powers here. First of all, a quick mention that he's always come across as very reticent and knowledgeable, and he
quite a bit.
You know, it's interesting with the hyperbaric chamber where he says to Cate, in a world of cameras, you thought I wouldn't notice. Because ultimately what we find out here is Cipher is a puppet master. So when the eyes open of the burnt man, his father, in the hyperbaric chamber, does that mean, not necessarily through sight, but he knows that they've been there because of that? Or that there's cameras in the room, which is also much more likely.
The fact that they even check for cameras seemed unusual.
It would be stupid to have a security guard and no camera. I mean, that's like literally the Tower of London 1251. Yeah.
I think it's probably cheaper to get a few cameras into the room as well. So
exactly.
A few cameras and a couple of security guards.
But I do wonder whether that ability of being this puppet master of meat bags without the need for strings is that he can also see or get that information comes back to him as well. Because, you know, here we see him telling Marie that he knows that she knows about Odessa. He knows of the plan to infiltrate and film that, and I just love is like, really, this is just the wrong side of me. Like I'm all chin and I'm all chin and nostrils, you know, and so on, because of the angle of the camera. And then as Cate thinks she's delivering her bombshell, I do always like that kind of rug being pulled from under the feet, and Cipher lands his own bombshell, which is, well, watch this. And you see him taking over. Jordan is like, give Cate a little wave, and then, you know, Marie becomes aware of this when he says, I told you not to use the hand, or Jordan does, because of the control that Cipher is exerting on her. And you know, it's just really interesting because when Cipher and Marie are training there together, or Marie is training with Cipher, you do see his blood vessels come to the surface of his skin, and Marie clearly doesn't sense a V in his blood, which is really interesting.
It absolutely is, because everybody has V in their blood that has powers.
Yeah.
So why doesn't he have V in his blood? And you mentioned earlier on that you made a jump. We might as well talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The burnt man that's inside the box. And I think when we were watching it, Cipher, when he's talking to Marie, saying that, you know, that the whole project that was created by Thomas Godolkin was to create someone like her, Project Odessa. He was the one that spearheaded it. He knows that she knows all about it. I think from that we made a little bit of a leap to the person that's burnt in the box being Thomas Godolkin and him being the son of Thomas Godolkin, right?
Yes, yeah, that was for me just because of the opening sequence there back in what was it 1967 that we see in the lab where all the scientists are injecting themselves, and you have Thomas Godolkin running in saying no, it's not ready, but with that the whole lab goes on fire. And so having this burnt man in a hyperbaric chamber, I was like going, oh, so that's Thomas Godolkin.
Yeah.
And that's who I thought it was that it was Thomas Godolkin. And then Cipher says to Cate, oh, so you've met my father then. And so I just...
he's okay, thanks for asking.
Yeah, so I just put two and two together. Really.
I could have sworn that he said it, and maybe he did. We watched it again a couple of times trying to find the line. It's so difficult on streaming services to get a line up that you're looking for when we were going to try and find it, but we couldn't find it the second time. So I don't think he said it. I think he said just my father. But very interesting if it is Thomas Godolkin. I guess it could just be a good assumption that it's Thomas Godolkin, and we'll just find out next week it is. And
yeah, I still think there's a very, very high probability that it is.
Can't imagine who else it would be, unless that's the real body of Dean Cipher, and he's siphoning off his energy or something.
It could be that. Yeah, it could be something like that as well. Yeah, I'm trying to... I'll have to go back now and see who got burnt in season 1.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah,
maybe it's something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought it was a really good element to this episode where, it's really starting off with them saying, well, what are his superpowers? Because I think every audience member has asked the same thing.
Absolutely.
Because there's no sense of them.
Yeah.
What are his superpowers? And
I think it's also because he has a soup name. He's Cipher. He's not introduced as, Stephen Jones.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
and
he does have a soup name, therefore somebody must know what his powers are, and then to find out as the episodes go on, nobody knows at all.
Yeah, but it's also everything you've seen of him. He's there in a white coat. So he's also an unassuming, whilst hugely important to these projects. He is an unassuming experimental scientist in that sense.
Dr. Gold, yeah.
And it's highly likely that he is just human here. I mean, he says it himself. Well, the last person that was in my post tried to kill all the Supes with a disease, so the bar was very low. And I like how it just then it turns around. So he's either able to hide his power,
yes,
or his power is coming from something very different.
Yeah.
And that's really, really intriguing. And I suspect, the hyperbaric chamberman is something to do with it. It does feel a bit like the portrait of Dorian Gray. Because even with the picture of him holding Marie as a baby, it's like he's not aged a great deal.
That's true.
So is he even Thomas Godolkin? And it is a bit of a Dorian Gray element to it.
Maybe. Or else it's just Hamish Linklater's incredible moisturising routine that keeps him looking
there is that as well. So it's just really interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Some great theories. And it is just that moment when Cate thinks she has him and says, I know you're human. And he goes, oh no, and move along, It's still really intriguing. How can he possibly be human? Does all Compound V come from his bloodstream somehow? And he doesn't have any inside him, but he's the creator of it inside his blood. So maybe that makes him...
it's like Patient Zero.
Yeah. But again, we did point out that it is a different actor playing Godolkin in the flashback scenes than Hamish Linklater. So it's not...
Absolutely.
So they've cast somebody else. Yeah. But maybe he's a changeling of some sort. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, but it might just be... I'll have to have a look again, but it's really intriguing, as you say. I think that's all for our main moments of the episode. Any notes for yourself, Derek?
No, no major notes. Just to mention, we should mention Greg seems to be the new love interest for Emma this episode.
Yes, that is true.
In an episode where we don't see her old love interest, Sam.
Yeah, that was noticeable.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. He's the only character of the main characters that we didn't see in the episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There you go. Anything else from you, John?
No, nothing from me. Derek, what did you think of episode 4 of Gen V? Bags.
I really liked this episode. I thought it was a lot of fun. There's some very funny moments. It felt like a much more humorous episode at times. I think particularly because we brought in the character of Bushmaster in the episode, which I thought was fun. But there were so many little moments that made me laugh. Even though the big centerpiece was a battle between two of our major characters who are now in a relationship. Remember, it's not just two characters going up against each other. Jordan and Marie have professed their love for each other, and here they are on stage, basically battling and finding out the power of the Dean is really interesting as well, and really intriguing, and what is going on with that burnt body. Lots of questions, 4 episodes in, and yeah, really interesting episode. I liked it a lot. John, how about yourself?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed this episode. I'd give it 5 meaty nutbags out of 5.
I almost choked in my water there, John. Thanks. No warning on that one.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really good. I just think some really shocking moments again, both in that sort of usual The Boys fashion, from the gnome shagging or Emma meeting up with Cipher's bags, but also to the bleating goat and the explosion of Elon, Bushmaster. I loved that. It was really good. Something that is, probably feels like a curse for her, becomes something that, she uses to save the day, and it's absolutely excellent. Love that Cipher's power has been revealed here, and just so much intrigue around still who Cipher is. So yes, we know he's not simply human. He has a power, and it's a power where he can control other people. I loved just all of this, the team up between Cate, Jordan, Marie, and with Emma sort of more sort of reluctant to get involved there. It all did sort of just push on really nicely. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the outcome of all of this and how it progresses in episode 5. So yeah, it's 5 meaty nutbags out of 5 for me.
Fantastic.
AKA plums.
I wasn't drinking that time, so I didn't choke on my water this time, but I do want to drink. Let's go down to the student bar for the Gen V student bar quiz, John.
Indeed. Fellow boys and girls, fellow quizzers, excellent to have you back in the pub and at the bar. It is episode 4, so we are moving swiftly through to question 4, which is: where does the unsafe spaces battle between Bloodbender and Genderbender take place?
And that did feel like a real boxing event. It felt like a wrestling event and a boxing event. I was wondering, we were kind of pausing to see if we could recognize any of the big name stars getting out of their limos as they came in. We didn't recognize any of them. I think they're probably, if they are celebrities, they're probably TV celebrities in the US or reality celebrities that we just don't know.
I didn't really catch a glimpse of anyone that I would have known.
Yeah.
So potentially. I mean, I thought there was a big guy, but I didn't really see the face. I thought it may have been an ex-wrestler.
Right.
Possibly, but I just don't know.
I thought I saw the two twins that do that realty show, not reality show. That's the one where they sell houses. That's the best I could tell. But Amazon Prime don't seem to have put up their X-ray stuff yet, where they they break down every scene and have the details on the screen. So maybe when that gets up there, we'll see who that is. But John, do you want to give the question for the pub quiz one more time?
Definitely. Where does the unsafe spaces battle between Bloodbender and Genderbender take place? Collect all 8 answers together at the end of our coverage of Season 2 of The Boys Gen V, and email them in at the end of the season to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com, and you'll be in with a chance of getting your hands on some Gen V goodies.
Absolutely. This episode of TV Podcast Industries and the pub quiz itself, of course, is brought to you by our supporters over on Patreon, including Robert W. Thank you so much, Robert, for your support.
Absolutely, Robert. Great stuff. Thanks for the support.
And you can support us for any monthly amount over on patreon.com/TV Podcast Industries, where you can also get every single episode of TV Podcast Industries that are available there on the main feed. If you'd like to support us with a one-off donation, you can pop on over to buymeacoffee.com/TVPI and buy us a coffee.
Excellent stuff. But also, you can support us by subscribing to the podcast and sharing it around to your friends. Because, of course, sharing the podcast is, of course, sharing the love.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Indeed. Let us get into some lovely feedback now from our fellow boys and girls.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. First up, we have some feedback on episodes 1 to 3 on Facebook.
Absolutely, yes. On episode 1 from Dr. Bob Phillips, says, pop, bang, slap, wallop, flash, crash. It's the baby boys from the opening moments. Great, terrible purple man vibes from Mr. Blender. Doesn't even look like Tennant to touch. And trying to link the project name into a historic event, but failing at the moment. Moving into the second of the 3 episodes drop, and not quite sure how it will go. Where else would you find a white supremacist scumbag killed by a pair of steel nadgers from his pickup launched with the blood of his bro? Yes, we are back in the world of Gen V, without a doubt. Excellent, Dr. Bob, yeah. That's a really interesting catch there. Hamish Linklater looking a little bit like Purple Man, played by David Tennant in Jessica Jones, John.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
I can kind of see that connection, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. And yes, the old steel nads being used by Marie to knock out one of those white supremacists.
Yeah, a great moment.
Teabagged and radished for non-payment of bills.
Absolutely.
Indeed, yes.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dr. Bob. On episode 2, he says, best bit, the secret room reveal. Fabulous bit of writing and performance from Emma. Oh, moment. Is it okay with me like this? From Fem Jordan. Moment. Mostly the entire Deep scene, but particularly the crest to not use bleach. Deep remains one of the most horrific things the series has produced.
Oh, indeed.
Oh, he absolutely is. And I know the actor who plays Deep just loves how funny and how depraved the scenes that he's gotten are in all the shows. He loves playing this role. Chance Crawford is such a big fan, or Chase Crawford is such a big fan of the show and the kind of things they allow him to do. So, yes, always great to see him on there, but always disgusting.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Bob, really, he is so good.
Yeah.
Also awful. Depends how you perceive that awfulness.
Yeah. And yes, Emma's secret room reveal where she goes, do you want to go to that room? It seems to have a fan in there going, whoomp. Because she's so off her face on drugs. That was hilarious. Really, really good. Finally, on the 3rd episode, Dr. Bob Phillips says, the return of the bad Muppets. Not the only good bit in this episode. You get used to public nudity being another cracking line, but the mutating landscape was fairly impressive again. How long Jordan can survive the cold glare of truth, what the world will do when they discover Cate is neutered, but maybe not entirely, as we saw in her semi-comatose killing spree, and if Heather from the cupboard will use her tail for good, are all as yet unanswered questions from this episode. Excellent, Dr. Bob.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, actually, that was really... that was a really good bit from episode 3. I hope you guys discussed it on the podcast. Because, I thought that was good how even in her sort of comatose state, she's still, I guess it's just pure anger coming through or something like that, where, and it's pretty horrific for the bystander nurse as well. Sort of getting a syringe in the eye. I was like, oh my goodness.
It's brutal. But there's even that follow-up moment when Dean Cipher comes in to visit Cate, and there's even more dead doctors on the floor around. There's 5 or 6 dead people in the room at that stage. So it's not just the first 2 nurses that she kills. It's literally anybody that walks in the room. I just think in this entire world, in the whole boys universe, being a human, you could just walk in at the wrong time. That's why the moment with Seth in this episode made me laugh so much, because I think that's what I'd be like anywhere I went if I was in the presence of Supes going, and can I now leave? Can I just get out of here, please? Can I just? I've done what you asked me to do. Can I just leave the situation?
Well, and it's also like Colby Minifie's character that loses all her hair.
Poor Ashley, yes.
Poor Ashley, ends off losing all the hair on her head. So,
and pretty much everything else as well. Yeah.
I mean, if that happened to Bushmaster, she wouldn't have a power.
Well, yes. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Dr. Bob, for your thoughts on the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, great stuff. Thanks, Dr. Bob, for all those thoughts. On episode 3, Mindy Megan also says, I appreciate you guys and our fellow boys and girls naming that while the writers did likely have to do a really big pivot after Chance Perdomo's death, it does make me wonder how much of the original story for this season they scrapped. Not that I need a lot of exposition, but the storyline jumps and where we're coming in at this point in the season does feel a little strange and rushed. I can't remember if Cate could mind read separately from pushing last season, or if that's a detail they just dropped into the show. She's more powerful at the start of season 2. Little things like that feel a bit disjointed, but I'm hoping the story solidifies and we get the level of greatness we're used to from the Boys universe. Also, I never get tired of watching Hamish Linklater's characters go from speaking calmly to screaming out of nowhere. It very much reminds me of Father Paul from Midnight Mass.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like that moment in the episode when he, in this episode when he shouted, "No, you are going to fight." Like I was going, okay, I guess I'm going to fight
and
as
the
well.
Bang on the table, and some of his intonation, like he talks about, well, that will be an incentive. Like he has, or certainly for this character, he's giving him sort of unusual pronunciation and emphasis on some of the words, and I love when actors do that. I think it's just really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of like how singers, when they sing and the word that you're hearing, it's only when you read the actual lyrics in the sleeve of the thing you go, oh, that's what he's saying. Just because the way it's split out through the notes or the way it's expressed is just really different.
Absolutely. I lost a point in the pub quiz last night because the lyric was "Sweet dreams are made of," and I said "these" instead of "this," and of course it's "this" because "these" makes no sense, but Annie Lennox in my head has always sang "Sweet dreams are made of these" for 30, 40 years. Yeah. But it's "Sweet dreams are made of this," and I lost a point because I wrote the wrong bloody thing there.
Oh really? That's very harsh.
Yeah, I know.
That's really harsh.
Well,
who was Homelander the quizmaster?
No, just everybody was very close, so they needed to be very strict on the questions and answers.
Fellow quizzers, just a quick public service announcement: I would never be that harsh.
That's true. We're never that
whip
harsh.
Cracking in the background.
We're never that harsh in our pub quizzes.
No,
just make sure you get your answers in on time, and then you'll be included. That's all it is. Excellent stuff. Minnie asked a question about Cate last season. I think it was mentioned that she could mind read separately from being able to push. She didn't have to touch someone if she was in the presence of them, and she wanted to know information in their head. She chose to read their mind or not. That was the decision that she made. That was the kind of big twist in Cate's character that we realized she could do a lot more than she was actually doing. So she is able to read people's minds, but it's not something that she recapped. That was recapped at the beginning of the season. I know what you mean. Wasn't they could probably have done a good 10 or 15 minutes of what happened last season to catch you up rather than their quick jump at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also like Cate's tutelage from the previous Dean of Godolphin as well was one where it was being restrained with her powers because of how powerful she could be.
Exactly. Great stuff. Thanks, Mindy.
Yeah, thanks, Mindy.
We got an email in from Coffee and Vodka on this week's episode. Coffee and Vodka says, "Greetings, fellow main event defenders. Well, right power, wrong person. It'll be interesting to find out how Cipher has possession abilities without V. As for the rest of the episode, it seems to be primarily there to get Cate back into the fold. Don't know what blood has to do with levitation, but I'm good with it. The remainder of the episode was damage control via a cage match, funny and tense, but fairly kind of sorta on the high side of meh. 3.5 near messes, violated gnomes, and canned oldsters out 5. Peace and take care. Coffee and Vodka. P.S. Or he borrows powers, which would explain why he wanted Cate there during the fight, and instead of a painting, he's got Dorian's body. So many possibilities. Ooh, there you go. Coffee and Vodka has a similar suggestion to yours there, John. Yeah. Dorian's body. Maybe he's siphoning off powers.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. Rather than ciphering off powers, because I don't think that means anything.
Well, no, is he a cipher, which is kind of, to get a code?
Right.
Or siphoning, but that's with an S.
Yeah, and an N.
And an N.
Quite crucially.
Yes.
But yes, again, there are loads of possibilities. There's definitely something that we'll see as the episodes go on.
Yeah, but I'm kind of there with you, Coffee and Vodka, around the Dorian Gray element of this. And actually, whether, he's possibly someone else even.
Yeah.
Could be that.
But I did rewatch when I was rewatching the episode. I was just checking on what happened with Cate. He calls out Cate and says he needs to meet her. It's Cate that decides that she wants to meet him at this public event because she's worried about what he's going to do. So she makes the decision to go to the fight and meet him there. It's not that he's calling her to the fight. So she could have actually gone to his office to get berated by him for breaking into his house, but she made the arrangement to go to the fight because they thought that would be the plan to get him to admit that he's a human. So it was a decision of Cate to go there, and that would give them the opportunity while the fight's on.
I mean, interestingly, Harper can borrow powers for 60 seconds.
Yeah.
So it could be something similar to that. However, with Cate, even though she was telling him, well, I've got all my powers back, it's even better than before.
Yeah.
He could have done that, and then immediately most of the audience could be going for the vending machine slot or something like that.
Well, yeah.
Because no, he wouldn't necessarily have known that, but he would have known because of the accident. So I don't know whether he was borrowing Kate's powers in that moment, but I know what you're saying there, Coffee and Vodka, for sure. Yeah,
maybe it's something like that. Yeah,
excellent stuff.
Yeah,
though.
Thanks, Coffee and Vodka, for your thoughts on the episode.
Yeah, thanks, Coffee and Vodka. Also, Meryl Smith says, "Welcome back, fellow Godolphin alumni. I gotta admit, this might actually be my favourite episode of the season, but unfortunately Sam wasn't there, which I'm sure is unrelated, but I'm keeping my eyes on how they handle his character going forward. Like in The Boys Season 4, my favourite episode was the one where Homelander went back to the lab that created him. And I think the reason for that was because when the show tightens the cast and focuses on a select few, specifically the stronger characters in terms of acting, it tends to yield better results. The scene between Cate and Jordan was great. I love the little reminder that they were older friends before Emma and Marie came along, and amongst all the people that Cate hurt, Jordan feels it the worst because of their longer history. Kate's power being on the fritz is probably the unique way this show has found a way to successfully nerf a character in a while, and we managed to get some great comedy. Tinfoil theory, maybe her power isn't working because it's like psychosomatic or something. Second one, maybe Cipher is the one telling Cate that her power doesn't work and that's why it's happening, like a placebo effect. Also, now that I have time to talk about it, can we not have Cate alone with Cipher anymore? Because I was already getting a sketchy vibe from their interactions, and now with the reveal that he can control people, there's a much darker implication there that's hard to ignore. In more pleasant news, it seems that Marie is quickly leveling up. For what purpose? I have many thoughts. The show is really getting their money's worth out of Firecracker this season, and it's brought to my attention that the actress who plays Firecracker is a lesbian. So some of the things that the character has been saying about various communities has an extra twisted layer to it now. Emma continues to be my favourite character, and I love the little crew that she's assembled, although I'm dubious about trusting that one guy, but we'll see on that front. I think by the end of the season she'll have control over her powers. I thought after Luke Cage Season 2 that I would never hear the name Bushmaster ever again, but it returned in the most unexpected way. As much as the team hates to admit it, they may need Cate. She does have in with some of the ins and outs with some of the Vought stuff, and it looks like she's going to be on the receiving end of Cypher's wrath like Jordan was in this episode. I love them taking potshots at Elon Musk. A theory that I've been hearing online, and one that I kind of agree with, is that Thomas Godolphin is in the container, but he's secretly possessing the real Cipher. And that's why Marie couldn't sense the V in his blood, and he's prepping Marie so he can take over her body and take out Homelander. Looking forward to seeing what happens next. 4 firecracker announcements, lawn ornaments being screwed, hairy situations, lovers' quarrels engineered to force a power-up, and puppeteered proxies out of 5.
Fantastic.
Excellent stuff, Meryl Smith. Thank you so much for your thoughts on that. Really, really good. Totally with you around Bushmaster, as we had talked about in the episode. I'm sure no one thought there would be another Bushmaster coming on to TV.
Absolutely.
I really like your theory as well around Thomas Godolkin in the container, but that possession element and possessing the real Cipher. Because that does, as you say, that explanation of why she couldn't sense the V in his blood is really, really interesting.
Because this guy is just a vessel, basically, being possessed. Yeah, I really like that. I really like that idea.
It's the actual other way round, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really interesting theory, isn't it? Yeah, I really like that. As for Firecracker, in the episodes, I love the actress that's playing Firecracker. There's a great moment where she's talking about Jordan, and she does that great thing that I've always seen these kind of commentators, where they twist themselves in so much knots trying to be offensive to people who go by a different gender that they end off being right. where Firecracker's talking about Jordan going, he, she, they, how do they even identify? And that's absolutely fine to say. But she's trying to be offensive. Firecracker's trying to be offensive to her, but getting her gender identity correct in the process is hilarious. I like it anyway. It's a great little observation from the writers for the show.
Definitely.
Yeah, brilliant stuff.
Lovely stuff. Thanks, Meryl.
Absolutely. Thanks, Meryl. Back over on Facebook, Dr. Bob Phillips has some thoughts on this episode. He said, they zigged where I was convinced they'd zag after the zig was so obvious, and the zag would then have been too obviously taken, so they'd have to zig, which meant the zag wasn't what they slapped us with, and then they didn't. Fantastic, Dr. Bob.
Excellent stuff, yes.
I believe that's in honour of the return of Chris.
I think so. I'm getting that sense. And not zig and zag.
Not zig and zag, no. Dr. Bob continues, I was convinced that Cipher, a slip-on meaningless nonsense, would be a Benjamin Button mannequin for Thomas Godolkin in the hypostate chamber, but no, he is the puppet master. I thought the blood control stuff was brilliantly done. Was Jordan going to get Elond? And we now know it's red cells Marie controls, and that's basically all blood bags have in them. Oh, very interesting. Extra love to the Bushmaster, Tail Trembler, and Emma the Aquanaut for their daring do too. Great stuff, Dr. Bob.
Yeah, no, thanks, Dr. Bob. Interesting stuff around the blood control. Definitely, I did like how that was done.
Yeah, I never knew that a blood bag is basically just red blood cells. Interesting. Yeah, so that's effectively the answer to the question when Marie was asked, how does she control blood? That she's effectively controlling the blood cells. Very cool. I love that, Dr. Bob. Thanks very much for that.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Dr. Bob. And finally, Mindy Megan has a quote for us. But what if I kill Elon? Don't worry. That's why we named them all after a-holes.
Exactly. Very good, Mindy. It's great.
Let's bring in Julia Fox. That I still don't get.
I think it's the other way around. I think it was Julia Fox bringing Vance was what the line was supposed to be.
Ooh.
Very good. Thanks so much, everybody, for your feedback. If you want to get in contact with us, you can email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com or pop on over to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries. There's a spoiler post up there every week for each of the shows that we're covering. This has been a particularly weird week because 4 episodes of Marvel Zombies came out. This episode of Gen V came out, and the episode of Alien Earth came out in a week that I was away and Chris can't podcast. So there's lots of spoiler posts up there and lots of podcast coverage to come out. We will get to it all, but we'd love if you could just leave your feedback on the spoiler posts or email us there, and we will discuss your feedback on each of the shows that we're covering.
Absolutely. That's it for our blood-filled coverage of The Boys Gen V episode 4 of season 2, but we will be back, of course, for our coverage of episode 5. The kids are not all right.
Absolutely. And, of course, keep your eye out for the coverage of the season finale of Alien Earth. Looking forward to chatting all about that.
T-oculus eye, in fact.
Exactly. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again next time.
Yes, thank you so much, fellow boys and girls, for joining us until our next coverage of Gen V. Keep watching, keep listening, and look after those gnomes.
Bye.
Bye.